Say I know the storm come.
Welcome back to another episode of Eating Elephants. I am here today with Blane Warbritton from the BKFC Bare Knuckle Fighting League. What's up, Blane?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
You know, I can't complain, Blane. So let's just kick it off, man. August 16th, what's going down?
August 16th, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, the biggest, baddest league in the world of professional bare knuckle. This is the UFC of bare knuckle. I mean, this is the fucking big time, big show. So it's gonna be right here in Kansas City for everybody to come out and watch. It's gonna be crazy.
This is the big league. So Bare Knuckle, if my audience didn't know, is BKFC in particular is one of the fastest growing combat platforms in the world. And many people know it's bare knuckle, but can you give us what are the basic rules of engagement? Because I know UFC, you can wrestle, you can get on the ground. How does bare knuckle work?
Okay, so you basically take the rule set of boxing, you lose the gloves, and you allow the clinch from Muay Thai. Like you can grab the back of the head while punching and all that.
Huge. So I see a lot of standing counts, though. It's a lot more of that, right? What kind of determines a standing count?
So they do not do a 3 knockdown rule. You can get knocked down as many times as you keep getting up unless you are not able to continue. But if you get dropped, you get up, you look good, they're going to keep it going. So sometimes the ref might, in his estimate, go, oh, you're about to go down. Let me just give you a quick count, let you get back into it. Just kind of a referee discretion on a lot of that.
Right. And I think that's, you say boxing, definitely. You think about people like Tyson Fury. I don't know if you've seen him.
Oh, yeah.
Versus Usyk. In bare knuckle boxing, that would have been a standing 10 count.
Yep.
How that went. So I know it didn't start with bare knuckle because it's pretty much a newer platform to be on, especially in Kansas City. How did you get introduced to combat sports?
Okay, so I started boxing when I was 14 years old as an amateur boxer. And then won silver gloves when I was 15 years old, which is basically the equivalent of the Golden Gloves tournament, but it's for people under the age of 16. So won the silver gloves tournament. Then when I turned 16, I won the Kansas City Golden Gloves tournament. And then I got a silver medal in the Junior Olympics that took place in St. Joseph, Missouri. So I won and accomplished a lot as an amateur boxer, especially in this region. And then I just kind of got burned out with where everything was going. And I wasn't really feeling the pro game at the time either because politics really. And then, so I just kind of stepped away from the sport, but I always watched, always studied, kind of stayed in on it. And then bare knuckle started really taking place in 2015 in England. And I was really watching and pay attention. I became a big fan of watching those guys over there. And then 2018, it got legalized here in the States. And then just from there, I was like, oh, I'm interested. Then it just kind of waited till it got legalized in Kansas and then getting with the right coach. And then we both had the same vision, oh, we can do this. We can take this all the way. And then from there, got a bare knuckle fight lined up, smoked that dude in the first round. And then that led to me signing with the biggest management team in bare knuckle, Goat Combat Agency. And then that snowballed into signing with the biggest bare knuckle company in the world, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And now we're here.
So, two questions. The first one's going to be during that time when you were, basically finding your way to bare knuckle, what is one of the situations or what is something that you can give the advice for someone else who is out there looking to take strides into getting into that platform?
In the bare knuckle?
In the bare knuckle.
What I would say is be smart enough to realize that this is not boxing and this is not MMA. This is its own sport. If you look at it as its own sport, you actually study the intricacies of what you need to know for bare knuckle. You can take things from them other two combat sports, but you have to know what transitions from those sports and what will not work and actually train that way. Because if you're a boxer transitioning and you're used to sparring with other boxers and you're still in there blocking with these big gloves and that's how you're training yourself every day, you're going to step in the bare knuckle ring and you're going to go to cover up. And next thing you know, you're going to be eating shots that you've never ate before because you don't have that same mass from the gloves blocking. And
huge
punches are going to sneak in that you're not used to sneaking in behind your guard. And then MMA, if you're so used to having a kick-based heavy way of using instead of a jab for example, well, now when you're in there and you can't throw your kicks and you don't know how to close distance or keep your distance for that matter behind a jab, now all of a sudden you're in these wild brawls or you're getting teed off on by a guy that does know how to box. So there's a lot of detail to the sport, not to mention you lose the glove, you now have to be smarter with where you punch, how you punch, where you land your punches. Otherwise, boom, you just broke your hand and you're not fighting for quite a while, and there goes your extra side hustle.
So, with all that being said, it's tons of preparation, just like any other sport going into this bare knuckle game. Who is your coach?
My coach is Daniel Brown, Coach Danny, as he's referred to. Very intellectual guy, been in the boxing game for a long time, but also very smart in the way he breaks down things and the way he looks at fights, the way I look at fights. We just kind of mesh really well. Not to mention, like, he's one of the few guys that's coming from another background that's smart enough to transition things from that sport into this new sport. So it just worked out really well. Like, he sees bare knuckle for what it is, not, oh, well, let's try to force this form of boxing into this. Like, it's like, okay, this will work, this won't work. So we just mesh really well. Like, we're on that same wavelength.
Because bare knuckle is them hands, right? You got to have them hands in bare
Absolutely.
knuckle. The same hands that you would use anywhere else. You got to be able to get it down.
Yep.
And I say that. So we talk about, like, your transition. So I'd imagine in between boxing and the rebirth in bare knuckle, what'd you do in that point before getting with Dan and actually quitting boxing for that time or taking a break and then getting into what we're doing?
Well, I guess this will be the hard part of the interview. So I stopped boxing when I was about 22 years old, and then from there I met this girl. We got together. We were together for quite a while. We ended up getting pregnant, and then we ended up losing him really late. And his name's Kane. I just got him tattooed on me and everything too. And so losing him, and then that kind of caused this rift between me and her. And then that all just kind of spiraled, like, mental health wise. And then just went through like a really rough patch in life. And then I don't know, it was just a real battle, honestly, mentally. And then once me and Danny kind of got back together, it was just like a new, like, resurgence of life. Like, it just breathed new life into me in general. Like, it was like, okay, here's something I can actually focus on, put my time on, have an actual outlet in life instead of just living in the darkness.
So, and I always, talk to people about that, because mental health in boxing, I think, can stop more boxers than skill, right? So with that being said, how did you pick yourself back up, get back in the gym, and say, you know what? Not only am I going to get back to combat sports, I'm going to try a whole new sport.
Yeah, I think it's just who I am as a person. Like, I'm just built to fight. Like, no matter what the fight is, like, I don't back down from anything. So, like, going through everything I was going through and just life in general, like, I never fully gave up. Like, there was always that fight in me. Like, I always had a love for fighting as a sport and everything too. And really, it was just kind of the stars kind of aligning at the right time to, like, pull me out of everything and get me right back into the fight game. Because, like I said, even during the time off.
You talk a lot about watching bare knuckle and that being kind of a catalyst and you actually participating. Who were some of those legends or some of those people who were participating early in this sport that you were watching?
So you can go over to England and look at guys like Jimmy Sweeney or Barry Jones or Sean George. I mean, there's a lot of guys over there who are kind of doing it. But then you look at here and you look at the BKFC in particular, especially from the start, you have to talk about GOAT Combat Agency, who I'm signed with now as a management team, because what they've done with homegrown bare knuckle guys, I mean, Arnold Adams, Lorenzo Hunt, Elvin Brito, Tony Loco Soto. I mean, those guys right there are living legends in the sport that have held world titles. And right now I'm just trying to follow in their lead and just go get another belt for the crew.
Oh, yeah, and that's huge, man. Congratulations. So I know you mentioned homegrown talent in America. Where are you from?
I'm from North Peak, Kansas.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're from Midwest.
Oh yeah, born and raised. Love it here.
Huge, huge. So that silver glove title was in Kansas.
Yeah. The way they do it is kind of by region. So like, instead of it just being like a state thing, it's kind of like these states. So it's like they're like Kansas, Missouri, Iowa. Some of them are like considered one region, and they like quad everybody up like that. So that way, then once you go on to the next stage, it's not as crowded if you had like 50 people in each weight class.
Huge. So what weight class are you currently campaigning in?
The flyweight division, 125.
So the flyweight division, that is huge. So I know we talked a lot about the BKFC, but are you currently watching boxing?
Oh yeah, always watch boxing.
So you're still watching boxing. So what did you think about Terrence Crawford versus Madrimov?
It was a good fight, close fight. I think Crawford's a beast, pound for pound, obviously, but I think that style of fight, especially because he's not natural in his natural weight class, he's kind of already fighting up, and he's talking about still moving up. I think that fight probably pumped the brakes on the old potential Canelo fight for sure.
Yep. I think so as well. We talk about weight is important. So being that you're fighting at 126, is there any possibility that you'll maybe ever go up into any higher weights than 126?
Absolutely. This is just the beginning. Like, my plan is to win the 125 belt, go up, get the 135 belt, and then go up and get the 145 belt.
Yep. And I think, we always talk about weight because even people like Devin Haney, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people talked about how he lost to Ryan Garcia. And, we've made a few excuses, but I think another thing with Devin Haney is hanging around at that weight too long, draining yourself for the professional advantage. I think especially in the UFC. What do you think? Or if you got some other combat sports people out there, because you look pretty healthy today. I've been around you. You're not breathing hard. Some of the things that I've seen with other people who are cutting weight. I know we can't give the game away. The game is to be sold and not told when it comes to cutting weight.
Oh, absolutely.
But is there any kind of tips you could give a struggling combat artist who don't got a Dan on his team to help with the sauce?
Let's just go off the feel for your body. Like for me, I think I'm in a kind of blessed situation where I have a lot of nursing family members. So like they're constantly checking me. They're giving me all the tips. They're always monitoring my body, how it's going throughout my weight cuts and everything. So that helps tremendously because you're not like going in blind or doing things in an unhealthy way. Like, I got a lot of people watching out for me, looking out for me. I have a great circle in my life, so it just kind of works out well for me. Like, if you're going in and it's just on you to figure out, like, I don't know, I couldn't do it.
So compared to boxing, right? How is the recovery from a bare knuckle fight? I don't know. Do you go hide for 3 days if you got a couple, lumps, or or maybe if you're a winner like yourself, then you're usually.
I didn't get hit.
Usually, a guy like you, maybe it's different. You can go out and kick it.
Yeah, for me, it was right back to living life after my last fight. Like, it didn't get touched. Went through them pretty easy. Hands were great afterwards, so I had no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, because I know hand health is pretty good. So, last but not least, one thing I always like to do is get some matchups because I'm really big on matchups that are coming up in the BKFC in particular, because I know not a lot of light is shining on it all the time. What are some matchups that we can look forward to from the BKFC in the future in 2024 or 2025? I know in boxing, we recently had Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, and that was like the apex of what all of the fans were looking for.
Yeah.
What is that match in the BKFC that you can see that's on the horizon?
I think the biggest fight they can make is me versus John Dotson for that belt. That's just me, though. I mean,
no, I feel you, man. Huge.
Like I know. So they just had an event in Sturgis at the big biker rally. Crazy. If anybody hadn't seen it, I would definitely recommend going and just watching that. It was cool. Britton Hart and Taylor Starling were the main event. Those girls went in there and just beat the hell out of each other and they were fighting for the world title. And then August 10th, they're going to the UK. Connor Tierney's fighting. I'm a big fan of Connor Tierney. He's one of the guys whose skills I really respect in the company. He's a real slick boxer. Like we kind of have a similar style. And then August 16th, Elvin Brito is the main event. Absolute living legend in this sport. He's fighting former UFC fighter Jake Lindsay. We also have Jason High from Kansas City, who also fought in the UFCs on that card. I'm fighting Justin Martinez on that card. That card's going to be awesome. And then going forward, we got Tony Loco Soto fighting in Spain in a bullfighting arena for a world title. And that's kind of where things are at as of right now. I'm sure there's going to be some big fights coming. They're always teasing big fights coming, so we'll see what they have under their sleeve.
Huge. Well, this has been Copeland Keys for Eating Elephants here with Blane Warbritton. Blane, thank you for coming out today.
I appreciate it.
And good luck on August 16th in Kansas City.
Thank you. Before we go, I just want to shout out Just Blaze Clothing Company. They've been sponsoring me from the beginning. They made my fight shirts. If anybody wants to check those out, go to justblazeclothing.com. Also want to give a shout out to Goat Combat Agency, my management team. And then Will Blue. He's a tattoo artist out here in Kansas that also jumped on board and helped sponsor me for this. And he's been doing like a lot of solid stuff for me. And so just want to give a little shout out to them guys. Also shout out to my family for having my back through all this as well.
Alrighty. And with that being said, this has been Copeland and Blane Warbritton for Eating Elephants. Peace.
Say I know the storm come. I know the storm come. I said I know the storm. Hey, I know the storm coming cause the bullet won't start in the 8. Told my mama keep her dry on all them rainy days. When my niggas died, had to slide, but it still ain't take the pain away. All them tears that I cried when they died, but it still ain't take the pain away.
What? Talking about, why you call it Eating Elephants?
I call it Eating Elephants because how you take on a big task, you got to take it one bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant.
Say I know the storm come. I know the storm come.